hard and then pulling out the right reference, if they're deploying the right reference.
That's what I said to my wife. Oh, that's good.
I like that you brought your notebook.
Well, that's for the next thing. That's for Dr. Preparation over here.
You and I
had notebooks before. Yeah.
Yes, and you've paused and written stuff down.
I've paused and written stuff down, and I've never listened to myself back on any form.
It's Andy's version of panning for gold.
Shake it harder.
We got color.
You got everybody? We're good.
What are we on a break?
Can we close the door back there, please?
Oh, all of it. Yeah. Can we also? Can you put it on sauna? The thermostat. Please put the thermostat on. What's even funnier than sauna?
How about
Josh?
at least turn the jets on?
Turn the jets on. Does that mean like because there's a jacuzzi?
We're in a jacuzzi.
Right.
Yeah.
That's where a jacuzzi. That's where I got hepatitis D through K. Hey, what was that note I was going to write down before about podcast? Does anybody remember?
Nope. Gone forever.
Did we hear it? You said you're rolling?
Yeah.
Okay. You guys are ready?
Clearly. I'm not ready. I'm into it.
You're into it. You're already half an hour into this thing, and I haven't started yet. All right, let's do it. I think I have the right number here. Yep. All right.
That's the way you start your podcast, by looking at one piece of paper and then going back another piece of paper. This is my in-your-face
It's a
personality.
whole different Andy. That
No, you better watch
needs.
out. No, you better watch out.
What's the saying? Holding me to the fire?
Holding my feet to the fire.
Holding my feet to the fire.
Yeah, which I have done a couple times. I think it's supposed to be someone's else's feet. Because it really, I don't see the benefit.
No. It's
To
like
hold my own
it's like a
feet.
G. Gordon Liddy thing. It's like putting the Bic under your hand.
I'm gonna write that down, but I'm not gonna write the Bic tag.
Okay.
This is our start. We're in it. This is it. This is No Laugh Track Podcast, episode 262. And the reason why he's going to leave that in of us just chatting right there is because earlier today I'm with Andy Kindler and Josh Weinstein, and I was listening to your podcast, and I didn't realize until I got off my phone and was switching to another episode that it had gone from one into another, and I didn't even notice.
That's what it's for.
I've gotten that note from lots of people
Honestly,
who've gone,
okay.
I listened to 4 episodes of your podcast and I thought it was one. And that's kind of how I edit it, is I really want it to feel like one continuing conversation. I like to think of it as my eternity with Andre.
I'm the Andre in that equation, but also he told me he wants to take over the Brian Eno airport background environmental sound market.
Yes, because nothing blends in like Andy Kindler's voice.
Well, no, we'd have to mix it. We have to put it through we have to de-Jew it
Yes.
first of all,
Yes.
and stick it in a waspirator. Welcome to.
Why aren't you writing down Waspirator? You must have used that before.
I want to write down Waspirator.
You wrote down Waspirator?
I want to write down Waspirator, but
I am here at Acme right now. It is Thursday afternoon, and it's the middle of the afternoon, and we're all going to be here a few more hours from now as well, because you guys are going to do your podcast, and I'm going to sit here in the audience.
It makes it sound very long.
Very long.
A few more hours. How long is your podcast?
Well, I mean, it's 3 something right now, so it's going to be a few more hours.
Oh,
just
my
to
I'm
hit
already more
5:30.
relaxed, Josh. I'm already more relaxed. You know why? Because I don't have to listen or anything. I heard what he said,
That's
but not
good.
because I'm obligated.
Right, that's right.
Are you adjusting my my mic when I make a point up in this register? Because I'm getting a lot of people saying that a lot of people don't know how to record me without blowing the thing.
Andy Redline Kindler.
Andy Redline. Andy Redline.
So I am here with the 2 co-hosts.
I'm taking over for Jerry Lewis, by the way. I don't know if you
That's
can tell.
good.
Andy Redline.
There's an opening.
Hey, we didn't even think about talking about dead comics.
We can.
No, but that
I think every podcast in America did already, but
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's dig deep.
He was born Jerry Lee Lewis. Is that really what it was?
sure. Why go with good facts?
With the real facts.
Yeah.
I was hanging out with my dad the other night, and I just asked him, I go, were you ever a fan of Jerry Lewis? Nope. That was the extent of the conversation.
I could see that, though. I could see where Jerry Lewis, if you were he was a contemporary of your father.
Contemporary?
Well, he was 91. Your father's how old?
Not that old.
All right, so he's just
Somewhere
young
between
enough.
you and
Yeah, he's young
Jerry.
enough to be just annoyed by Jerry Lewis. I think he would have had to have been a contemporary when they first came out to not be
Right. My
annoyed.
mom saw Martin and Lewis live here in Minnesota when she was a kid.
Really?
Yeah. Not. I don't. I think it was one of the old vaudeville houses that isn't there anymore. But like the Orpheum, a theater like that. But,
Did she speak highly of that show?
I don't know how much she remembered. Even. I mean, she must have. I think they broke up in like 55 or something. Or,
Your mom?
Your
mom broke up at 55?
Yeah, she completely fell apart.
I'll tell you, my comedy is on today, baby. It's going to be family. No family is safe.
I'm sure she was a screaming girl about it at the time, though.
Yeah. Much like a Beatles concert.
Right. That's what those are the films you see of Martin and Lewis.
I can't hear any of the sound effects. Is it in your earphone? Where's the 65 degrees downtown Minneapolis. We're going to be giving away Philadelphia flyable sandwiches. I couldn't even think of the local team. Twins.
There you go.
Hey, talking about the Twins, I had experience in college that was pretty good. And now it's going to be an all Iron Maiden rock block.
Did you do coke today?
No, but
Red
I
Bull.
do feel like maybe it's time. I've given enough years.
Yeah.
Give it another shot, cocaine.
I think so. Absolutely.
I'd have more energy, Josh.
You would. That's true.
Temporarily.
That's really desirable at this point.
I'm listening to you now. It's only when we do the podcast.
This week on Thought Spiral, Andy's heart explodes.
That's not funny. My father and stuff like that. We joke about both of our fathers have passed away.
Yeah.
His mother has passed away. My mother's aggravating me.
Oh, jeez. Somebody grab the net.
My mother has not passed away, but you know what? Sometimes I feel like when I'm in the middle of a conversation with her that I would expire.
She says, Andy, I have to, but you?
I have to, but you? Now, someone's going to accuse me of stealing Josh's joke.
I knew that would get right up his ass.
Really?
I knew
Yeah,
because it's a line from
You're
his
not
act.
worried about that?
No, the joke is...
Andy's hypersensitive to anything that sounds anything like his act, and I specifically did something from his act.
Oh,
so.
I see.
And I will, and by the way, without me even saying anything, just through a computer program, he's already been sued, just because he got picked up. But the old classic joke is the guy comes home and he finds his best friend in bed with his wife, and he says, "Harry, I have to, but you." I have taken that joke
Yes.
and placed it in the setting of my father's funeral, where my mother turns to me and she says, "Andy, I have to, but you." And people who are comics love it
After they Google it.
after they Google it. He pointed out something very true about me. He is my conscience, and sometimes
That's not what I pointed out.
no, but sometimes conscience. Is it normal to want to strangle your conscience in a tub of water? No, but he pointed out that my mic thing with like this, which you can't see on the podcast, is a closed off mic thing, and not only is he right. That's how I can feel myself go into it when I hate the crowd.
It's a defensive posture.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And from listening to, let's see, how many episodes you guys done? 16?
No,
Yes.
we haven't done any episodes.
They're
We've
all
just done
test
test
shows.
shows.
Oh, I've
That's
been listening
right.
to the test shows.
Just the
Pardon
test
me.
shows.
Let me get the words
And when
right
this
here.
joke, we are never going to let this joke go, even though it hasn't been funny since the third episode.
Although I really felt good today. Someone tweeted me and said, well, how are you going to keep the tone of the show doing a live thing? And I said, well, thankfully, it's just a test show.
No, that was good. See,
Nice.
it is evergreen. That's what I like about it.
Evergreen.
So we've done 16 of them.
Whose idea was it?
Josh's idea. Many times, people over the years have said to me, "Andy, you're a genius. That's given.
Right.
Why
Are
are
those
you?"
the comics?
This is just random people on the street. Almost everybody who meets me calls me a genius at some point. Because
But you're not listening to the tone in which they're saying it.
oh, nice go. So when they say "nice going, genius," get out of my way. That's not
Yeah.
nice driving,
you
genius.
may not want to tally those.
People have asked me, "Where's your podcast?" Just like people, but you know what? It's no different than people asking me, "Where's your sitcom? Where's your whatever it is that you don't have that I can bring up to remind you about it."
Right.
So I never had a podcast because I liked being a guest so much on them.
Yes.
And
renowned for being a great podcast guest.
What's that?
Renowned for being a great
I've won
podcast
awards.
guest.
I've done hosted
Won
some
awards.
award shows.
Yes.
And years ago, before, like when Audible.com first started up, they told me, I had a meeting with them. They said, "Hey, if you have an idea," they didn't call it a podcast, but like a show. But I couldn't even think of what it would be.
That really happened?
Yeah, but I could. This is how inventive I am. I couldn't think of what it could be. What am I going to do for an hour? That's all I could say.
Yeah.
What am I going to do for? And you know what? I still feel the same way.
I couldn't possibly talk for an hour.
Yeah. Now. It took this long to realize my initial instincts were correct.
Right.
That's right.
Why now? Why just decide to do one now?
Well, Andy moved in to my neighborhood, like 3 blocks away, and this was like 2 years ago. And I went,
Please say it's longer because I consider it exercise.
Because he walks to my house.
It's
for the podcast.
It's 6 blocks.
It's 6 long blocks away. 6
not
uphill
long
blocks,
blocks.
both way blocks. And it was like 2 years ago. I was like, well, this is, it would be a huge waste if we didn't do something together, since we lived
Because he
this
kept
close.
walking over and you just stood there together.
And so, 2 years later, we finally got it going. But it was probably 6 months between when I said we should do a podcast to when to when we did it.
I thought it was like immediate.
There was a lot of
like
revving up.
Yeah, we revved up. I was never no, but here's the thing. I usually am against ideas before people come up with them.
Yeah.
In this case, it sounded good to me right from the beginning. And for the following reasons. I enjoy talking to Josh.
Mm-hmm.
He's hilarious. And it's so conveniently located.
It's the easiest podcast in America.
And he does the stuff that he actually puts it on reel-to-reel tape and transfers it to vinyl. I don't have to do any of that
like
stuff.
the old days of podcasts.
It's all in-house plant. I have a huge plant downstairs. Yeah.
He has the rig. He has what he calls a rig.
The rig.
Yeah, go over there. He's got microphones up the yin-yang. One for my funny jokes and one for my horribly mundane observations.
You're like
Sometimes
Jeff
he mixes
Martyr.
them up.
You're like Jeff
Yes,
Martyr
Jeff
going back and forth.
Who's
These
that?
kids today don't know about.
I don't.
Tell them about Jeff Martyr, Josh.
Jeff Martyr was a comic peaked, I would say, in the 80s.
Don't say that. He might be right
in
now on a world
popularity.
tour. He could be on a world tour.
Peaked in popularity, I would say, in the 80s. Maybe not creatively, but in his act, he would have 2 mics on stage, and he would sort of do left brain, right brain jokes.
Now I think I've seen that.
Well, there's another guy who does like 3 different mics.
Okay.
Apparently,
Who does that?
I saw someone doing like one of them were tweets, one of them was some. It was like.
You know how he started it? He said to his friend, "You know that thing Jeff Martyr does? I'm going to expand on that concept."
That's kind of what it felt like. Yeah.
I'm sorry
I'm
that
going
I
to add a
interrupted you.
mic. I'm going to add a mic, and it's mine now.
I wish I hadn't interrupted you with that horrible retort.
That's what my wife said on
He's stealing one of my
Wait a
other.
minute, I thought at that time.
Unbelievable. This is before the podcast, and this is
Wow.
one of my signature catchphrases.
Yeah.
Is to no matter what I say, like, would you like a straw in that, Andy? That's what I said to my wife on my wedding night, implying that my wife wanted to put a straw in her vagina. I do make it, but I make it adorable.
You do absolutely.
You can't think of it as a sexual thing.
No, you're just terrifering me.
Have you warned people how blue the Thought Spiral
Oh, I thought you
show
were
may
going to ask
go?
me if I ever put a straw in my wife. Vo-vo-vo!
No. Nope.
You know, I did, but I wanted to wait till I got the slinky straw. It was with
Crazy straw.
Crazy straw, yeah.
once when we got really kinky, I did a thing with silly string. I can't talk about it now because of the court case.
What I don't think I know is how far back do you two go?
We go back 20 plus years. We don't actually know how we met.
Really?
But we have a large common pool of friends. So, yeah.
I can't even say it was at a party. It
No.
could have been at a gig.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why am I yelling? Are you adjusting for when I yell? Still can't hear one goddamn sound effect. No laugh track. No laugh track. No laugh track.
Coming at you.
So I want to know when you guys are recording. All the episodes so far have been at Josh's house.
Yes, except for the one we recorded in the hotel room the other night, which will air Monday.
Oh, so this Acme one is.
I think it'll be 2 weeks
more.
out. Yeah,
Oh, 2 weeks out.
a little suspense.
Wow, that's
a
quite
little
a
suspense.
tease.
Yeah,
That's quite a tease.
Just a little look me up. Why did I say that?
I don't know, but
I don't
that
understand what
goes
you're saying. It's a little-
that's a blanket position on my part.
But it's a whole. Why do you say it's a tease? It's a whole episode we did. I don't understand.
But it's, but we build up to things, and then it takes
Oh.
a while for them to actually play out. Like we talked about the Montreal speech for a few weeks, and then it was like a couple weeks after that.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes it's misplaced.
Yes, can we
misplaced anger?
can we talk about that? I was just
Talk about anything you want because you know what? I'm like an open book that doesn't have a thing written in it.
no glossary.
He's a
No.
sketchbook. He's an
It's
open
like an open
sketchbook.
I'm an open sketch. I'm an open need.
That you should write down.
Here, read this.
But that's kind of your joke. But I was going that way, right?
Well, yeah, and I would only say it about you anyway. So.
Open book. It's a
It's
blank
a sketchbook.
Yeah.
Blank sketchbook.
Blank
but still.
sketchbook, but it is acid free. See, then the people who watercolor will be
That's
on the
right.
goddamn floor.
Yes. Normally, Andy, you've always come here to Acme before Montreal.
This is, and I have decided, Mr. Lewis Lee, and we're not. I'm not going to brag. I got to have dinner with Lewis Lee only because Josh did, and Josh, you know, what I'm saying, Josh, he's the king of the town,
I open doors for Andy around here.
and
yeah.
Sure.
Lewis Lee said the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me. Well, no, my wife once on my wedding night said something
About Lewis Lee.
about the size of my guac. I said to Lewis Lee, when I'm 70 years old, you don't have to book me anymore because he's been booking me every year, and I don't want him to feel like when I come up here on my Alzheimer's tour, nothing funnier than Alzheimer's. I don't want him to feel he has to book me. He said, "You will get always the rest of your life." He says, "You pick the week you want, and you will be that week all the rest of your life."
No, he actually said as long as I own the club.
As long as, well, I assume that. I'm not with Mike. I'm going to yell at some guy. I'm going to yell at some guy from Bill Graham Productions. That's not current. Yell at some guy from Clear Channel.
Jam Company 7.
Yeah, there you
See,
go.
I went local.
There you go, jam, yeah.
Lewis Lee made a promise to me, sir. His funeral was today. Can't you back off a little? Can't you wait? I happen to know. Let's not make it about that.
This was a pledge in a restaurant.
Maybe you want to listen to this iPhone taping. So, and so I think I'm going to come here August from now on.
Okay.
Because I don't like. I've decided I associate. I love coming here, but I associate the pressure of having to write the speech,
Sure.
and it's a.
And now that he's farmed it out, there's a lot less pressure.
because he helped me with the speech.
I've heard. I was listening to test episode 14.
Yes, that was a big one. That was a big,
can I say, probably my favorite one so far?
I think that's our favorite as well.
I think I've probably heard 9 so far.
Is that where you hurt my feelings?
Yes.
Oh God!
Probably listened to 9 episodes. I think that's my favorite one. I also I'd listen to the most recent ones backwards.
Okay.
So,
And it feels the same going either direction, doesn't it?
It actually did.
Yeah.
Like I said, those were backwards
Oh, really?
when they went into each other.
That's very
17
funny.
to 16. And I actually looked at my phone at one point going, is this the longest freaking podcast ever? Then realized it was another
They're
one.
creeping up in length now, too. I'm starting to let them breathe a little more.
Sure.
So.
Many people say 2 minutes into the podcast, they say, "Is this the longest freaking podcast ever?" Come on, Josh. These are easy. They're like softballs. He's throwing whatever the metaphor is.
I was talking. I got the opportunity to interview Peter Bogdanovich a couple weeks ago on the other podcast I'm on,
Oh, okay.
and he had made this great documentary about Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, and it's like 4 hours long.
Yeah.
It's like unbelievably long and yet unbelievably riveting throughout. And he was talking with Tom Petty when he had done his first cut, and it was 5 hours. And he's like, "Man, isn't this a little long?" And he's like, "Well, if people get into it, it can't be long enough, and if they can't get into it, can't be short enough."
Yeah,
So,
pretty much.
And I watched that not by mistake, but I didn't know it was a Peter Bogdanovich thing. And I watched like 2 or 3 hours of it and was fascinated by it. I have always been wanting to watch it again.
You're a Petty fan?
I'm a petty fan, and this was like.
But it was like you could be. I'm a fairly casual Tom Petty fan, and it was still just a great movie about like what a band is. You know.
Yeah. What's the other podcast that you're doing?
It's called The Edge with Mark Thompson.
Hey.
Andy's not part of that one. I'm sorry.
He's been a guest. He's been a guest. Some would say his guest. Some would say his guest episode on there was a pilot for Thought Spiral.
It's true. In fact, what I've been doing anytime I do a podcast, I take a headshot and put it on a cassette tape and just randomly send it to audible.com. Say, give me a shot.
I'm still around.
I was wrong. I can talk for fucking ever.
And the same headshot I had from the 90s. And the same credits. Saber fencing.
So I wanted to say...
Jewish humor.
I saw the 12 best, whatever it was, from these...
Yeah.
Yes.
7 of them were his.
And then I find out... I appreciate the honesty on the podcast for you to admit that 7 of those were written by...
I don't like to admit to it.
I would have remained silent about it, but once he was like, "Okay, I'm broadcasting it," all right.
But this is the first time I've ever worked. Now, next year, if he would be so it'll be better. But I had a hard time because I'm not used to working with someone, and so I was like thinking he was saying to it, like during one meeting, this guy doesn't have an idea in his goddamn head. This guy gets why is he doing a speech every year? Why don't they get someone who does a speech who actually has he's sitting over there going, what should I talk about? Leno again? You have any Leno stuff?
Yeah, he attributed a whole bunch of feelings to me that I didn't actually have because I honestly was just like, I'm here for you. Know, I'm here to write the speech for you, but I think he felt like he was working for me, and that wasn't the point.
But this was the good part of it. This was where the growth was. I don't know if this is in episode 14. Could have been episode 15, but the growth is that because I grew up thinking that I was everything I did was my fault, and it's a whole thing. Nobody needs to hear it. I really wanted to know what he was thinking when I was thinking that he was saying, this is the way you prepare for a meeting?
Yeah.
You don't, because I at least would have thought he would have said, where are your notes? Where are your notes? Where's your stuff? Because that's the voice that's in my head. And if I respect him more than I respect me, which I did after 5 minutes after meeting him, because that's my thing, I actually carry around a pedestal. I carry around a pedestal to put people on.
He's on his feet, ladies and gentlemen.
You mean... Where... okay. For a second, now you pretend you weren't taking a nap. Unbelievable.
Andy is standing up, looking to the back, making sure that Eric, the producer, is acknowledging his humor.
What if George Martin had done this during Abbey Road? Took a nap in the back. Unbelievable.
Well, as I heard, you have the anthology, a big Beatles fan.
Yes.
Was that in there?
No, we weren't talking about the anthology. We started talking about the Beatles, and the thing that was very people loved about it was all of our facts were wrong, and mostly I started into I like the Sgt. Pepper. I like the Strawberry Fields Forever album,
which doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist.
Right. By the way, just on a little side note, I have realized that I always thought Paul was my favorite.
Yeah.
I think it's George.
Yeah.
I think it's George.
I can see that.
I always thought it was John. John was my favorite. First, John was my favorite, and then my friends who know the Beatles even better than me, they showed me that without Paul, it's the John Paul combo that is. Why am I looking at him? And then George just is great too.
Which one of us is right, Josh?
They're all great, man. They all brought something to the table to make the Beatles, for sure.
I want to go back to the Just for Laughs. I had no idea.
Pete Best, though.
Pete Best.
That's why they needed Ringo.
That was another myth I believed as a kid. Just someone told me that Pete Best tried to put out an album called Best of the Beatles, and that he got sued.
Yeah,
that's not true, right?
I don't think it's true.
I know.
But I
believe
sounds great.
Yeah.
Best of the Beatles. Like, he doesn't have enough to deal with Pete Best
right.
than fake stories.
He actually made a bunch of money from the Beatles anthology because he had they used some old.
Oh yeah.
So he finally got some.
Thank God.
Some coin
Please
from
put this
that.
out.
Yeah.
Begging him. I want to say I had no idea that it was so much last minute scrambling, writing to get the speech together?
Well, I almost had an almost a nervous. Well, not a nervous. I don't want to use these.
How about
words.
just meltdown?
Yeah, because don't have nervous breakdowns. I'm a big baby, and people actually have nervous breakdowns, and I'm trivializing it by saying, "Oh, I went through a dark night of the soul," which I did this year. I thought, my wife told me after the speech, she was worried about me because I was like, every year I go through some phase of, I haven't done enough work, and all the jokes I wait till the last minute to put them together. So I almost forgot jokes that he gave me, forgot my own jokes because he direct messaged me something, and I didn't bring the pages document, that kind of thing.
Did you know that was his process before this?
Yeah, I know that. 'Cause I just knew that he would every year around that time of year he'd go. Mostly he'd just sort of like go into the anxiety cave. And it's just like, I can't talk. I'm doing the speech. For a month or But
And that's what I would do here.
But I knew he was cramming.
Yes.
As well.
But he also made me feel. He also said that I always assume that everybody else is more healthy than I am, and doing like people I respect. See, I respect Josh, so I assume he's got things worked out that I don't have worked out. But he actually made me feel better too because he said, everybody. My concept that I have to start the day after the last speech and put an hour a week, whatever the thing is,
sure.
It's just not realistic. He's saying most people are going to wait to the end in some form or another.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm doing it right now. I'm doing this show at the Improv on Saturday night where I have to do basically 10 new minutes. And I haven't, I've been thinking about it a lot, but it's all just ideas in my head right now, and I haven't put pen to paper to really organize it yet. And and I keep saying, "Oh, the flight home tomorrow, I'll do it."
Really?
Then it'll probably be Saturday that I'll actually, put full words to the each premise and punchline.
Do you have any coaching for him?
Well, he is unbelievable. I mean, I forgot I had a mic for a second. Do you want me to come in and do ADR? Do I need to do ADR? What you
about waiting for the last minute here?
No, no. He could riddle off. He'll riddle off. If I say, "Hey, can you write a joke about the size of Mickey Rooney's head?" which was not one of the topics, he'll have jokes. He can write jokes within 5 minutes, all better jokes than I had on the topic. Of course, he couldn't sell it that up in Montreal with my ha ha. So, but for himself, he says his heart's right for himself, and he said nobody writes tags for him or writes stuff for him, and he makes him sad. So
it doesn't make me sad.
I write two. Well, I have to build it up. Okay. I write two things for him. Two legitimate tags.
Uh-huh.
He looks at me like, no thanks, buddy. Peddle your wares elsewhere.
This is what Andy hears inside versus what's actually happening.
Yeah.
These are two different stories completely. It's a constant Jewy Rashomon with him.
I don't know about that, Josh, because having met
Rosh Hashanah.
Now, what was it? Okay.
It's a great joke.
Okay, when he first said the joke,
which I did
didn't
last
hear
week.
it. I didn't even hear it.
Okay.
And I still have not yet allowed myself to hear it.
Do you know what Rashomon is?
That's now I remember. Yes. In fact, I've seen Rashomon.
Yeah.
But now I forgot the Rashomon part. But how did it come between Rosh Hashanah and Rashomon? How did it start?
It's like a Jewish Rashomon. Rosh Hashanah.
See? And you know why I laugh now? I've heard it for the first time.
Genuine. That was genuine right there.
It's a quality joke.
And I had to.
That's why I'm really excited to do the live podcast today, because it's just going to be nice to have someone listening to me.
I'll also feel, because there's others watching me listening. It's like when I have doing acting on my various acting gigs.
Yes.
It's like people. I'm conscious that people are looking to see if I'm acting, so I pick up the energy.
Do you have any acting stuff coming out that we can look forward to,
come on.
Mr. Kindler?
I don't want to turn this into an IMDb page.
Yes, please.
I did an episode of Portlandia, which is so exciting to me.
Oh.
Because I love that show. There's no show I love more than that show. I love it.
I've fallen behind on Portlandia. Has it been on yet?
It's no, it has not been on yet. And it's the last season of Portlandia coming out.
I didn't know that. So you'll be on the last season.
I'm going to be on it. Unbelievable. unbelievable. I don't know why I'm overselling it because I really am excited about it, but I still make it sound wrong.
Are you playing yourself?
No, I'm a doctor, a pediatrician.
Is his name Andy?
Dandy Dindler.
No, they didn't even. I don't think they even had a name for me. Okay. But I did go to medical school because people always say, "Do you study for the role?" Absolutely, I went to medical school. Right. I was supposed to shoot it on the second season of Portlandia.
I totally got it, Eric, with Dandy Dindler back there.
Yeah.
I heard it.
Oh God!
Oh, good.
Why are people calling me?
Can I get free tickets to the podcast, please?
You know what? I can't figure out anything about how a phone works. The sound is off.
No, it's not.
It is off. Just turn the whole thing off. It was off though, right? No, it's like if you have the sound turned off, it doesn't mean it won't ring, right, Josh?
Right.
You have to have another adjustment
you can
for
put
it.
it on vibrate, though.
Yes,
Boy, it's like the opposite of MacGyver helping you out.
You have the world's worst phone case.
Why are you look? You're spending valuable podcast minutes
No, this is
futzing
great.
around with the contraption.
Josh, I want to know what's the latest with I Need You to Kill, the movie that you put together.
It is.
That I love.
It has been delivered to the distributor.
Okay.
The Comedy Dynamics will be distributing it.
I've heard of them.
Makers of most of Netflix's comedy specials.
Yeah.
And it's in their hands. I think it's going to come out in December. Probably on like iTunes platforms and stuff, and then it's up to them to who they distribute it to for streaming or broadcast or whoever wants to buy it.
December, finally.
I believe December. It's just unbelievable how long this shit takes.
Wow. And then you were talking on your show about the Michael DeBar. You're still working on.
That's I have a distributor for that too, but now it's time. It's like rubber meets the road with all the photo and music rights. So we're dealing with that, and I got an angel investor who's now on board to help that happen, and then I got a distributor who kind of matched her investment. So.
Oh wow! Okay.
I'm going to tell you something. If it actually involved the rubber having to meet the road, he would delay that too for a couple of weeks.
But it is.
He's on a lot of pain about it.
It is. Yeah. It's.
I'd celebrate when he has pain that's similar to mine.
And I'm not one of those documentary makers who's like, this has been my 7-year passion. It's like, this is not my fucking Moby Dick. I was so ready to let it go a few years ago.
A documentary about Moby Dick?
And now I feel like Moby Dick is trolling me.
I cut him off. He had a joke prepared. I knew he either had a joke prepared or he couldn't take one more second with me. But I looked over and he was
Why
going.
can't it be both?
Are you guys ever going to have guests on Thoughts Spiral? Or do you have to wait for another one to move into the neighborhood?
Yeah, that might be it.
We know the first guest if we decide to have
yes,
guests.
if we have a guest, I've already promised it to our common friend Joel Madison, who's who's one of the founding Minneapolis comedy fathers.
Okay.
He did a big show with Louis Anderson and Jeff Cesario and Alex Cole, and he at Dudley Riggs years ago called Comedy All Stars. And a really good friend. He's probably the source of us meeting, even.
Yeah, that might be because I've known Joel Madison since also the same time. It's early 90s, right? It's not 80s.
No, late 80s you've known him since.
Oh, see, that's where. Yeah, that's right, because I did one-nighters with him.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
No, we're
By the
talking,
way,
we're
it's
talking
true.
in big numbers here, my friend.
You do know his career better than he knows it, Josh.
I know, yeah. I know.
Believe me, it's not something you cover like a collector.
I don't know all his TV guest spots and things like that, but but
you didn't watch him on Wizards of Waverly Place?
I never have seen an episode of Wizards of Waverly Place.
No, but as you're talking, I don't watch it either because it's just sometimes my acting is so impressive, I faint.
Are they laughing
That
in
was
the
a
back of
sound
the room?
effect, by the way. That wasn't really Eric.
That's right.
I just realized something though, Josh. I realized that I'm wrong with what my time frame is. Of course, it has to be the 80s because I met the Don't Quit Your Day Job, which was what they were named then. They played at I started stand up on my own in '86, and I was in a duo before then. So for '86, '87, '88, I had this little Italian restaurant called Seymour Hams that I booked, and I booked those guys into it.
Did you?
So yeah, so I had to, and Joel Madison too.
And Don't Quit Your Day Job turned out to be Steve Higgins, who's now the co-host of Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah.
Dave Higgins, who was on Ellen and on Mike and Molly and Malcolm in the Middle and Everything with M, and Dave Gruber Allen, who was Mr. Ross on Freaks and Geeks, and we all
And Paul Feig, I knew Paul Feig, and now that I'm thinking about it, I knew Paul Feig and Judd Apatow and all these guys from this room. Well, Judd I knew from someplace else. It was called the Variety Arts Center downtown Los Angeles, and it had the Ed Wynn Lounge. Had Ed Wynn memorabilia all over it, and that's where I met a lot of those guys from. Josh, where am I? Who am I?
Josh, I want to know if you saw, obviously, because I saw that you acknowledged my tweet about the original Tom Servo drink that they were serving at the Mystery Science Theater live show here that I went to in Minneapolis last month.
Yes, it's as if they were serving me.
Yeah.
I just told someone that you were TV's Frank.
Did you really?
I did.
Such a dick.
By mistake. By total mistake.
Such a dick.
The current one.
No. I didn't know what I was talking about. I was reaching for. I completely blanked out on anything. See, here's the thing. I am a congenital liar, which I'm not congenital. What does a congenital mean? You were born with it?
Yes. So
Okay.
maybe.
I lie. I'm a fan.
Pathological is
Yeah,
what.
people don't learn it. They're born with it.
I'm a fan of Mystery Science Theater 3000 in the sense that when I've watched it, I've laughed hard at it, but I have probably only seen 3 episodes.
There was once a Comedy Central promo that actually called me Fake Frank.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there was like it was like an MST marathon.
Do you know what?
That's what got
That's
in your
why I
head.
did it.
Yeah. that was
I told him that story the other day. And
That's so funny to me.
the one time Andy watched Mystery Science was half of a marathon. That was the
Right.
3 episodes.
But it was Penn Jillette when he was the voice of Comedy Central, and I just
remember
went,
that.
and Fake Frank, and they put my fucking 17-year-old face on
Why
TV.
they got to do that? Even I wouldn't have made fun. And I'm Mr. Bad. I'm the bad boy of comedy.
That's right.
Even I wouldn't have made a promo like that. First of all, I wouldn't use Penn Jillette because they I have nothing to say.
Nothing?
I wanted to slam him, but I've slammed him so many times. I'm just tired of it. What's he going to do? Is he going to stop being obnoxious? Is he going to stop being an angry, militant, new atheist?
I don't think so.
Well, then the hell with him.
Did you watch him on Bill Maher a week or so ago?
No, did you watch him?
I did see that. Yeah.
I have stopped watching Bill Maher because I really detest
You had
him.
Dawkins on the week before. You would have loved that.
Oh, my goodness.
How do you get through a segment like that?
I think, what would Andy think watching this, mostly?
He's not an entertaining guy, Richard Dawkins. Even
No,
if
he's
you,
not. No, but Bill Maher was fawning over him hard.
Oh,
Because, he kept, Richard Dawkins would say something, and Bill Maher would go, yes, exactly.
oh God! Because Bill Maher doesn't know.
I've been saying that for years. Yes.
Like, do you really think Bill Maher's read the Quran? Give me a break. He's read Sam Harris's book about the Quran. Because he even says, Sam Harris says the Quran has this and that in it. Sam Harris says.
Well, at least you got the uncanny impression.
Who was I doing the impression of there?
I thought it was Bill Maher.
Oh.
Are you? I think
My old job.
you're the one I think that pointed out that he makes his like when he does that new rules. Am I right that you've pointed this out? And then he makes everybody sit there and laugh at him, basically.
Yeah. That's an
I don't know if that was
Is
me.
that an Andy
Sounds
observation?
like a
Is
Josh
it-
observation.
I feel like I got that
What do
from
you mean he makes the other... Oh, he makes the other people.
Yeah.
panelists.
Oh, well, I can see that because what is he going to go away to First of all, the guy couldn't execute
But
a
he
death
could-
piece if he was at Home Depot.
He could step away to an area for new rules, though. I mean, he already moves
true.
away to another
true.
area
Yeah.
for interviews and stuff.
Well, I'm gonna credit that to you, and now I notice that every time, and how it's like, what, this is
No,
kind
that's
of
always it's always been the weird, uncomfortable thing. Yeah.
yeah.
So who was on last week, you said?
Dawkins.
No, not Dawkins.
Couple
who,
weeks.
but,
Penn
Gillette.
Gillette.
Penn Gillette.
Oh, okay. And how was that?
I only saw a few minutes of it.
And was Penn Jillette, did he mention anything about being an atheist? Or anything about being a libertarian? You know what's so great about being a libertarian? It doesn't require any thought. Because the whole thing is, it's not the government's job. Anybody could come up with that conclusion. You want to shoot yourself up with drugs? That's your choice, which I actually do believe and also want to do.
Yeah. Have you guys?
So how was the Mystery Science Theater show that you went to, by the way?
And I was going to tell you that, and if you, I don't know if you remember, but when they were doing that whole Kickstarter thing, and then I found out that it was going to be all new people, I kind of felt like, you're going to have to prove it to me that this is true to what I love as the original stuff.
People
here.
love viewers like that with that attitude.
Yeah,
Original cast do.
Yeah, right. And then it came out on Netflix, and I watched a few. I was like, all right, I can dig it. And the truth is, I was looking for tickets for a different event the week of on a secondary, resale site, and tickets came up for less than face value.
Oh.
And I called my buddy, and I said, dude, we can go for less than face. Let's do this. So that's how I ended up going, and I liked it. Actually, it was really fun.
You are not giving an extra dime to this new MST if you don't have to. Not kicking into your Kickstarter.
Let me tell you something.
I'm waiting for under face value for tickets. I brought my own snacks.
No, we bought some alcohol at the event, and then since I paid for both tickets,
merch.
my buddy, to pay me back, did buy me a poster. So I
cool.
did
That's
go
good.
home with a $10 poster.
And the cinematic Titanic box set is out now?
Yeah.
Did you have the original DVDs?
I have a few of them. I don't have all of them.
Quite a value.
Yeah.
Quite a value, the new set, especially on Amazon.
My greatest hits are coming out soon.
Is that right? You're not recording or anything this week, are you, Andy?
I can't talk about it because it's very delicate point of the.
No.
What do you mean taping? What?
Like for another special or anything like.
Well,
No, he's got a backlog.
I have a lot of movie work. Go to Minneapolis. I get an acting job. I'm on a couple of movies.
Sure.
I'm on St. Elsewhere.
Is that a movie?
No, I'm trying to think. Was that shot here? No.
No.
You could record an album to put out in 2025.
That's true.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm doing a scene in the new Mary Tyler Moore episode.
Yeah.
She's from here.
That's right. Ask Andy when he recorded his last album.
Andy, when did you record your last album?
2013. The one that hasn't come out yet.
The one that still isn't out yet.
But
Is that right?
it's evergreen, baby. It's evergreen. I predict.
I have no problem with not releasing an album, but to have it still slated for release is crazy to me.
This guy.
People pre-ordered it.
This guy who is talking about, he's trying to get the rights to What's New Pussycat for his documentary.
Right.
The rights to what? That's all I could think of right there because that sounds like a funny name.
It was strong.
I don't know. I don't want to say it was a bad gig, but I was recording. I was singing "What's New, Pussycat" with an all-girl trombone section.
Andy, I
like that. Is my favorite take. Don't even acknowledge how bad my attempt was.
I went online this morning and saw a column from Neil Justin of the Star Tribune.
Yeah, but he saw the thing last night. All I knew was positive about me. I didn't see anything else. I would R.T. Hitler if he wrote a positive review of me. I don't like Jews, but he made me laugh. Is that the way Hitler
That was good. That was their best.
Yeah. Just walk away from the equipment. I'm sure you have an automatic pilot setting.
Just to punish him, I'll redline the shit out of him.
Right.
He's gone.
I really enjoyed learning that you talked about Garrison Keillor, and then Erica Rhodes is on the bill with you here. She's the feature this week?
Yes.
Yes.
With the chicken in the pot and old man McCullough coming down the farm and ooh, I like raspberry pie. How would you do your impression of Garrison Keillor?
It's a long week here in Lake Wobegon.
You know who does
Sitting here with Andy Kindler, the only Jew ever to enter the city.
Gruber does a good impression of him in the Ken Burns documentary.
Yeah.
It's like, the men like the tasty cakes.
I did on the podcast this week. I think I did Garrison Keillor getting a tracheotomy. Yeah. It's a beautiful day here in Lake. Powder milk biscuits.
Powder milk biscuits. That show did some of the best noir takeoffs. I mean,
Guy Noir.
It's even funnier that there is no longer any noir. Is there noir? Would you say there's any noir coming out? David Lynch, maybe? Or
Once in a while, someone will do a very, very
noirish.
Noirish.
deliberate noir piece.
I have never seen a noir movie that I didn't like. I'm into it. Cut the chin music. Everything they say. What do you hear? What do you say?
Can the balloon juice, Kindler.
Yeah, you're a real stand-upper.
Speaking of stand, that's what's trying to be noir. Is I'm Dying Up Here is trying to be sort of noir with the Goldie character.
I'm finding a lot of people love this show.
I don't have Showtime. I haven't seen it. Tell me what I'm missing.
I know, but I think
you're
it's
not
always
missing a thing.
I think I would hate to work for one of those companies because every time when I'd meet someone, they go, "I don't get your show. I don't get Showtime on my system. Can you call my system?"
Do you have a discount code?
You have to pay extra for it. You could get Showtime.
Yeah, I could. I'm not
You could
willing
make
to
a
pay
package.
for it. True. I'm not willing to pay for it.
There's always something on Showtime that I have to see, right? What else was on Showtime? Was it not Breaking Bad, but something
Bizarre with John Biner. Oh, that was a little while back.
else? Big Little Lies? HBO, maybe. That was a good show. Big Little Lies.
Tell me about I'm Dying Up Here. Why is it good that I'm missing it?
Because it's an over dramatic version of a era that didn't quite exactly exist. Really,
That didn't exist? It's
Yeah,
supposed to be in the 70s,
it's
right?
supposed to be the 70s at the Comedy Store, but they've fictionalized things to the point where there's anachronisms to it, and there's the main thing is that drama about stand-up doesn't really work.
Sure.
Because you have to take the writer's word that the comic is funny. You can only tell by what, because if you show a comedy scene in a comedy drama, it's to move the story along.
Yeah.
So either they killed and the audience is poorly acting, laughing their ass off, or they ate it and the audience is totally unrealistically silent.
Yes.
I love when they do. I don't know which I love more: the unbelievably explosive laughter, or this is the worst thing I've ever seen.
Right. The uncomfortable,
Why is that person and the shifting on a dime too? That person is now no longer capable of being laughed at.
Wow, she is ashamed. She's shaming herself up there. It's just bad.
And also, Josh points out that the woman does not sound like. I didn't know she was from Texas, but there's supposed to be
there's
Texas.
an actress whose accent is very come and go.
Okay. Oh, you just reminded me of something I wanted to bring up. Thank you for saying something about accents. I don't think I laughed harder than when you started mocking the MyPillow guy on your podcast.
Oh yeah, the MyPillow guy.
Oh,
It's made right here in Minnesota in my very own
that
factory
guy.
with my
Oh.
patented fill.
Have you seen the new version of the commercial? I
don't know.
He's taken the Chuck McCann medicine cabinet concept and worsened it.
Oh, hi, guy.
Hi, guy, which was funny because that Chuck McCann in it. The people open their thing, and now the MyPillow guy. I don't know if it's a medicine cabinet, but all of a sudden the MyPillow guy is looking at them. They go,
Oh, hi there. I've broken into your home and I brought you a pillow with my patented fill
and there's no
right here in Minnesota, and it's machine washable.
washable.
I love that so much.
It took me 2 years. It took me 2 years to come up with MyPillow because I'm not bright.
Can I do a testimonial for MyPillow? Because I have one.
Yeah.
Oh, you do? And do you also promote it?
No.
Now he does.
Yeah, here's my promotion. As a gift from someone, if I were to receive one again, I wouldn't turn it away. I would not spend $5 on one.
Really?
Well, that really is a glowing recommendation.
Yes.
In fact, I would email the show, and because that's the kind of thing he's looking for.
Right.
I could take it or leave it type of.
It seems like it
testimonial.
feels like sleeping on a bag of little foam shapes.
Have you tried it?
I've held one in my hand. They had one at KQ one morning when we were there. Someone from MyPillow had been in and left a bunch of samples.
That's
or
how I
something.
got one.
Is
I
it?
think. Oh no, it was different radio station that my wife.
Oh,
worked
I
at.
brought
They
them
got a
in
whole
this
bunch.
morning for you, right here in Minnesota. I'll put them on the table, and whoever wants one, remember they're machine washable.
You mean you didn't get it from when they're going to send it up in this time capsule? You mean you didn't get it from a World's Fair? You mean you didn't get it from the Smithsonian? You mean you didn't get it from the Museum of Modern Art's products of the century display.
That there is Andy Kindler's patented fill.
How you doing, sir? How you doing? He's my patented Phil. How you doing? Everything good? Everything good? You people ready to laugh?
That's awesome. Are you going?
I have to warn you that some of these jokes may end up on our live podcast today, just because they're in my head.
Do it. Okay. I'll laugh just as hard the second time.
Patented Phil is our podcast closer.
Do you have the Minnesota State Fair opened today?
Today.
Yeah,
Josh,
I'm not going to make it, unfortunately.
Do you have a history of State Fair love?
I did. Yeah, it was a yearly family event for sure, and it was all food centric, 100% food centric. Mm-hmm. It was the state eat for us.
Yeah.
Is the food good?
If you choose right.
Sure.
If we had most people have sort of their touchstones that they have to hit each year,
right,
and then they'll try the one new. Mm-hmm. It's a fried chocolate dildo. I don't know. It's something funny.
My wife tried that on our wedding night.
What?
So tell me some of the hits in case I go there to the Minnesota State Fair. What would be one of the ones that you like? Even thinking about it now, you get excited.
Prana Pup, you got to have.
What I get first.
What is it?
A Prana Pup, which is a corn dog essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Did you say piranha?
Pronto Pup.
Pronto.
Oh, okay. It's a corn dog. Okay.
Yeah.
It's actually not. It's a there's corn dogs and I think Pronto Pups are not a corn base.
Yeah, it's a different breading.
Different batter.
Oh.
Yeah, batter. There's the word.
And you love it too?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
My dad would always get footlongs. That was his hot dogs.
They have, Andy, they sell about a footlongs.
Yeah.
There's some humor for you.
Oh, so there's comedy also at the
They
State
call
Fair?
them about a footlongs.
Unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
That's the type of thing that makes a product like that sell consistently over the years.
And then we'd go and we'd occasionally get a Sunny Honey ice cream cone over at the agriculture building. And then we would get the French fries you got to try.
Yes.
I was a big fan of the roasted corn. Mm-hmm. The buffalo. My mother grew up next to the family that ran the Buffalo Burger stand in Frontier Village for decades, but I don't know if they do anymore.
Frontier Village has been totally redone.
Oh, then they probably don't.
It's completely different now. You wouldn't even recognize it. Yeah.
I would.
Any of this stuff sound good to you, Andy?
Well, now here's the thing with Buffalo. So like they don't. Buffalo obviously is not endangered anymore, or somebody would get in trouble for this. But it's also not making a run. In other words, it's not like
20 years ago when they said it's going to be the new. It never was.
It actually is. You see it on a lot of menus now.
Stand aside, ribeye.
You know what? I do a lot of fast food. They don't have it at McDonald's.
No, it's not fast food. But
is it Ted Turner?
But if you go one level up to sit-down burger restaurants, you're likely to see a bison.
Do you like it?
Yeah, it's just like slightly leaner beef, really.
Well, that's ridiculous. Why don't they leave the buffalo alone if it's that close to another meat?
I saw a thing on the news last night. They're creating lab meat.
They do, yeah.
Oh, that sounds great.
$21,000 a pound or something ridiculous.
That'll
like
probably
that?
come down.
Yeah,
eventually.
if the price doesn't come down, I bet.
Because I'm gonna go with the Kobe even.
Yeah, you go to that restaurant.
So what is it? It grows and cells. Or
They're
something?
using
stem cells. Yeah.
Tissue. Yes, cell tissue.
Are you gonna stick with that Stell tissue?
I'm not gonna. Okay. I'm gonna. Just
Is
hope
it more
people didn't
ethical?
Skip right over that.
Could it be argued that it's more ethical?
Well, of course it's more ethical.
Why? Why? If it's when it gets to
because you don't have to murder anything at the end of the process.
But don't you grow it from cells and so you see a little lamb form?
Wow.
Yes, that's right.
You guys.
What do they do with the fur?
How do you go from a lovely not romantic, but salivating country music? What is it called? State fair jokes. To talking about pulsating meat growing in a laboratory petri dish.
That's my fault. That's my fault. So
have you ever ordered something that was prepared in a petri dish?
I hope not.
No. I'm
telling you, he's lying to me because I know he's going to blow one of these days. No, everything's fine. No, you're fun to hang around with. And no, it's really fine. I don't get tired of you at all. And then you see a couple of askance looks he gives me. That I'm telling you, if I end up dead, just know, don't. Look at many people, but go right to his house.
There's just a couple more things. I'm looking at the time here. There's a couple more things I want to ask you about. One. Letterman going to Netflix. Andy.
So excited.
So excited, right?
So great. I'm so happy he's doing something. Whatever he wants to do.
Yeah, I heard him interviewed last week on Stern, and he said he has no plan at all of what he's doing.
Hey, we can relate to that.
Yeah.
Hey, that's my bit.
Yeah.
No, but I hadn't heard about it until it was out circulating. He doesn't call me and tell me before.
You didn't get the okay?
Didn't get the memo. I think it's great.
And then they also they released it, or somebody did, how much money he's getting paid.
What's he getting paid?
Did you see that, Josh?
Like $100 million or some Netflix stupid thing.
6 episodes, $2 million per episode.
Okay, that's not that. Considering the shit that they're paying people right now for comedy specials and stuff, that's actually like real world money.
Yeah, you're right. And the article I read about it, that's exactly what they said. Like, well, these comedians are getting 20.
Yeah, like they gave Seinfeld like $100 million for 2 specials in his web series.
Is that really true?
Yes.
Tell them I won't do it for $95 million. Who are these people who think I'll settle for $95 million? It's not worth my time. That may be the world's worst Seinfeld impression, but it was combined with also awful material.
Now, here's one of the other things I want to ask you guys. For both of you, what have you learned about Andy spending so much more time with him that I'm assuming you have? You spent more time with him in the last year than you have
Ever.
any other. Yeah.
Yeah.
What have you learned about Andy?
I've learned in some ways everything about Andy. I haven't learned that much really. I mean, what I've learned is what he's told me, which is that, he's finally going to therapy at age 60 and it's been a huge boon for him, so there's nothing I think is cooler than when people can grow, and like Andy's like in a major growth spurt right now. So it's a fun time to hang out and talk a lot.
Yeah. It's an odd coincidence that you guys just got the podcast together, and then that major life
He's
change
the guy.
is
But
happening.
I think they're hand in hand. I think the fact
That is true.
the fact that he's on Prozac and in therapy was the thing that made him willing to take a leap
Okay.
and do it too.
His original idea was therapy in the title of the thing.
It was going to be the Andy Kindler post therapy wrap up show, and I literally wanted to do it after his therapy session each time, like the Howard Stern wrap up show.
You know what I've learned from the podcast?
Please
That
tell me.
if you think that you may be gay, sleeping with him won't solve the issue for you, because he's just terrible at sex. It's not.
You won't come away with a conclusive answer.
It's not gender. It's not gender specific with you.
No, I'm unsexy.
You're not a warm.
I'm pan unsexy.
Oh, Andy.
I'm proud of myself because I have to mentally restrain myself a lot during the podcast. A lot of times I'll say, "Stop talking, Andy." I'm not saying it's the best method.
Are you sure that's not you repeating what he had just said?
No, I know he's.
That's what he
thinking it.
imagines. I'm thinking all
Okay.
the time. So,
What do you?
what have you learned? What have you learned
do
about me, though? What have you learned about me?
Oh, what I learned about you. Is that what you asked him?
Yes.
I have learned.
I think Josh wants to know as well.
I do, actually.
Yeah.
So what have I learned about Josh? Well, it's hard to separate because you don't have to make. Was that a mooing sound? Mm-hmm. Is that a negative? Is that how you boo in the cattle world? No, I've learned
State
about
fair time. Boo.
I've learned about our relationship through the podcast, and in our relationship, I never had a friend who I would like have little beefs with sometimes, and then you talk about him, and I think it's like a really good thing for me to be in a friendship because I think of him as very well, adjusted, and he has no problems. He does have problems, but not as much as mine, obviously, but because he's self-aware, he can communicate what's really going on. And so I've learned a lot about just like asking him, was he mad? Was he thinking something during that writing session?
Yeah.
He could, if he had told me he was angry at me, because he has said things to me where he said, because I don't return emails and things like that, because I didn't know you had to. So he's trying to get things done with the podcast. He's going, Annie, I would appreciate if you would, when you get a text from me or whatever, and I need something answered quickly, please do. And I don't get my feel. I mean, for a couple of seconds, I get angry. I store it away as a grudge to pull out in an appropriate situation.
We're going to do grudge inventory one of these episodes.
But it's like so that's why I talk about him in my therapy. He's not there. He asks to be there. So, but I always knew he was hilarious. I didn't know that it would be a fun thing to do a thing. I mean, no, you just don't know. I mean, I could have thought I would have maybe if I was thinking, I was like, why would you put two Jews together? You know what I mean?
But we'd done Kids Court together.
Yeah, we've worked together on stuff.
That's right.
Yeah,
So
and Dumpster Dan. I mean,
It was
Cartoon Dump.
It was Bailiff. It was I don't remember what the bailiff's name was, but I think it was alliterative.
Oh, hey. I want to point this out.
Yes.
The Chad Daniels tweet, in which I agree with, about how freaking funny your tweets are, Josh.
Oh, thank you. And thank Chad.
Yeah.
I did thank Chad. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, that was very nice. And it actually did send a bunch of followers my way.
Good.
People trust Chad Daniels' comedy sense, apparently. So, and they should, because he's funny as shit.
Yes, he
What
is.
did he say? Did he say anything about me specifically?
Yeah, he did, Andy, in another
you'll tell me later?
another social media platform.
You'll tell me later before my session.
Yes.
Is there anything else we should be mentioning? I hope this was a good warm up for
This was fun.
Your big show.
Listen to Thought Spiral every Monday. Cinematic Titanic box set is available in all your DVD purveyors. 12 episodes for like under $40, which is pretty darn good.
And what some people argue was the real continuation of the heart of the original Mystery Science
That was
Theater.
Nerdist put out an article that said that.
Yeah,
that was very
that.
cool.
I agree.
I don't know how Joel feels about it, but we felt good. I felt good. It was nice.
For sure.
I'm just really glad it didn't, because left to our own devices, it would have just disappeared forever. So So to have Shout Factory, take it in was great.
Yeah, for sure.
Why don't you ask me what would happen if I was left to my own devices?
Andy, what would happen if you were left to your own devices?
I have an iPhone 6. I have an in-dash cassette auto-reverse stereo. I have 3 iPods.
You're going to fade out on this, I hope.
I have an electric razor. I have an AM/FM stereo. I have a boom box. I have a shortwave radio. Cheese.
We'll be out by Boombox.
That's it. We're done.
Yeah.